Let's learn about the transport of water within the xylem vessels of a plant. The movement of water entering the roots, travelling up the stem and leaving through the leaves or being used for photosynthesis. This movement of water is called transpiration. Let's look at the point of entry of water into the root. Water will move from a high concentration to a low concentration through a partially permeable membrane to enter the roots. This is called osmosis. So, water enters. Osmosis is the movement of water particles from a high concentration to a low concentration through a partially permeable membrane. We know that from GCSE. Okay. Upon entering the root, water will travel through xylem vessels up the stem and out of the leaf. Before we go into any more detail, let's consider the actual structure of water and the properties of water. Okay. H2O is a formula for water, and it's made up of 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. Let's consider the situation now here with the covalent bonds that are taking place. 2 nonmetals, covalent bond. Let's take our oxygen. 2 electrons in the first shell. 6 left for the next shell. 8 electrons altogether. It will covalently bond with hydrogen. And it actually doesn't give us a linear, it gives us a bent molecule, so we draw it like this. And the 2 lone pairs would actually be there. Okay. Let's consider the number of protons inside the oxygen and the hydrogen. So I'm just going to draw this again, but I'm only now going to represent the nuclear force of attraction in the oxygen. Oxygen has 8 protons altogether. It has a nuclear force of attraction, positive force of attraction of a value of 8, compared to the hydrogens, which have a +1. Now imagine these electrons here, those in the covalent bond. These electrons here, they have a negative charge. On this side, they're attracted to the +1 charge, but on this side, they're attracted to the +8 charge. They are going to be more attracted to the +8 than the +1. They are more likely to exist in a space that is nearer to the oxygen than in the hydrogen, due to the oxygen having a nuclear force of attraction of +8 compared to hydrogen. The same on this side as well. So it's almost as if the electrons are almost being, they're more likely to be near the oxygen. Then the hydrogen doesn't lose electrons, but the electrons are more likely to be more towards the oxygen. So we say that there is almost a partial charge on the oxygen and a partial charge on the hydrogen. The hydrogen has almost lost an electron, but not quite. So we say that the hydrogen has a delta plus charge, a partial positive charge, and the oxygen has a delta minus. What this means is when water is with another water particle or is in the same space, there are going to be strong hydrogen bonds forming between the delta minus and the delta plus of the hydrogens and the oxygen and the hydrogen, and there's going to be many, many hydrogen bonds formed. We've learned about this. The fact that water interacts with other water molecules this way gives the water a cohesive property. One water particle has a force of attraction with another water particle via these hydrogen bonds that form between the delta plus and delta minus parts of the water molecule. Okay, so water is very unique, and it's the cohesion between water particles that allows water to move up and out of a plant, where everywhere else on the planet water just moves down. Okay, let's take ourselves into the leaf. Water might be entered here, but imagine water particles are here. Got a water particle right there. There will be another water particle next to it, and there'll be hydrogen bonds between the two because they are cohesive. There will be a situation where we have many water particles with their respective hydrogen bonds. We call this a column of water. And this will be within the xylem vessel itself. Okay, the xylem vessel is just like a hollow tube. It's made of dead cells. It just provides a place for the column of water to be, because the cohesion property of water does all the rest of the work. Okay, the xylem vessel can just be a dead tube. Literally, that's what it is. Let's take this water particle here. This water particle's got two potential outcomes. It can either, let's go with this one here. This one can either get used in photosynthesis. So this water particle could become a reactant for photosynthesis and get used up. Or this water particle might evaporate if it is right there at the opening of the stomata. So there's two things that can happen to that water particle. It can either be a reactant in photosynthesis within the chloroplast, or it might evaporate. Either way, it's going to go. It's going to move from where it is to either become a reactant or to evaporate. Now, if this water particle moves whichever way it's going to go, then this water particle is going to move to replace it. If this water particle moves here, then this water particle is going to move to replace that one due to the hydrogen bonds between them. And what we end up getting is this happens all the way through this column of water, bringing us back to the point of entry of water here at the root. When water enters the root, it will move further into the root due to this movement of water, this transpiration stream, okay, or this transpiration pool. All of this is because water has its hydrogen bonds within its structure. Okay, what that means is once the water moves through osmosis into the plant, it's taken away. It's going to move because it's replacing another water particle that's replacing another water particle, and so on and so on. This concentration of water inside the root is maintained as low. It's always going to be low because once the water enters, it shifts, it moves. So therefore, this concentration gradient of high to low is always going to be the case. It's going to be maintained due to this cohesion tension theory, this movement of water. Okay, so that's the transpiration stream itself. Let's now look at this situation here. When this water is moving from the xylem, how does it actually get to the chloroplast that it needs to get to for photosynthesis? And to help us understand this part of the process more clearly, I'm going to take us to a cross-section of a leaf. This is our xylem. And here is our water. I'll draw it in blue. Here's our water inside the xylem. So our water has travelled into the root, up the stem, and now is in the leaf, in the structure itself. We have the cross-section of a leaf diagram here. We have the upper layer, which is a waxy cuticle, which is clear to allow the absorption of sunlight. We have here the upper epidermis, which is the protective layer kind of thing. We have here our palisade mesophyll cells, fully packed, lots and lots of chloroplasts, so there can be lots and lots of photosynthesis happening here. We have here our spongy mesophyll layer. There are some spaces and there are some gaps here to allow the diffusion of the gases that are needed and need to get rid of during photosynthesis. We've got here the lower epidermis, we've got here our guard cells, and we have here our stomata. Okay. Now, how does water get from the xylem to where it needs to get to? It's got two choices. Okay. First and foremost, we've got three choices really. Water can move into the photosynthetic cell along a water potential gradient. And that's going to be a passive process, and that will just happen due to the differences in concentration. Okay. That is if water is going to be used for photosynthesis. The other option is water will evaporate. So how is water going to get from here to evaporate? It has two routes it can take. It can either travel, let's draw another one here, so we've got a bit of continuity. Water can either travel through the cell wall of the spongy mesophyll cells and evaporate. That was a bell. Or it can move through the cytoplasm. It has two options. It can either move through the cell walls or it can move through the cytoplasm. So this one is through the cytoplasm. This one is through the cell wall. Okay. Irrespective of the route, the water then can become positioned near to the stomata and it may evaporate. Okay, so that's the summary of transpiration, water entering and leaving, and water either being used for photosynthesis by moving along a water potential gradient or evaporating by moving through the cell wall or the cytoplasm, eventually evaporating through the stomata.